Okay, in today's video, we're teaching you how to talk to a horse. Okay, well, so here's the deal. Except for Mr. Ed, right? I've never heard a horse utter a word out of his mouth. But, so you're not going to hear him talk like a human does. But horses talk nonetheless. They do it through body language. They do it through their emotions. And they can be as crystal clear as ever, right? But a lot of talking to a horse is listening to a horse, right? And understanding what they're saying to you, right? I've got an aunt that every time I talk to her when she comes around for the holidays, she just asks me questions, and then she lets me talk forever. And afterwards, I think, man, I really had a great communication with my aunt over there. And really what she did was she just sat and listened. And afterwards, I just feel so fulfilled. I feel all high and mighty about myself and feel a lot better about myself, right? But really what the deal was is she just listened. So anyway, and I think what a great conversation we had. So same thing with a horse, right? If you listen, your horse will be like, oh man, I really like this. I'm having a good conversation. So let's talk about what a horse is saying. So right now, this horse, Laredo, he's got his head down. This is clearly showing he's kind of relaxed, right? He's pretty relaxed. His eyes are kind of half open, right? That's also another sign of relaxation if he's blinking his eyes. If you see him lick his lips, those can mean two things. It can mean he's either relaxed or that he's thinking about something, right? That he's just learned something and he's licking, he's wetting his mouth. I will say that a lot of times when we're training horses, if we wait for him to lick their mouths, that I say, oh, he's licking his brain because he's learned something. Another thing is if you see a horse cock a hind foot like this, that would be another sign. I'm just trying to see if the other horses, well, no, it's all right. We won't scan over to the other horses. But if you see a horse cock his hind foot, that's also a sign. If you see a horse take a big, deep breath, that's also a good sign of relaxation, right? So that's all of those are good. We need to know when a horse is relaxed. Now on the opposite, the signs that a horse is excited about something or nervous or upset or whatever, right? It'd be kind of the opposite of all those things, right? His eyes are wide open, right? Instead of his head being down, his head comes up like this. He's starting to be like, oh, what's going on? JR's getting a little louder in his voice and stuff, and he's wondering what's happening, right? Another sign, right, is if his ears pin back all the way like this, right? That means he's starting to get mad or something, right? Something's happening. If his lips get all wrinkly like this, right, that could mean he's getting agitated with his mouth or something, or that he's about to do something with his mouth. I'll tell you a funny example one time that I saw this lady at a clinic one time, and she kind of had her back to her horse like this. She wasn't even paying attention to her horse at all. And well, I'll do this for effect. We'll move them over here and do better effect. But she couldn't have been paying attention to that horse at all. She was just like this, being like, yeah, we went over to the mall the other day. We got some cookies and some orange juice, and oh man, that horse bit me. No joke. Well, now this horse didn't bite me, but that lady in the clinic, that horse bit her, right? The reason why is she didn't even see that horse was crinkling up his mouth. 99.9% of all this stuff of getting bit and kicked and all this is just being aware, right? Being aware of your horse. Thinking outside of your box of what you're doing, but thinking about what he's doing and where he's at. Where his eyes are, where his mouth is, where everything is, right? And where his legs are, where his, his neck is, where his top line is, and all that. All right. So now we've done a bunch of how to listen to a horse, but now how to talk to a horse. So let's first of all talk about what a horse does when he's in the herd, right? So remember, in the herd, there are no equals in the herd. Every horse is either above or below the other horses in the herd. It's a hierarchy thing, right? And so every day the horses are going to be testing that and seeing where they are in the pecking order. And when a horse, is testing that, the way he tests it is he tests it through moving the other horse's feet. And so if this horse is going to be higher in the herd than the other horse, he's gonna try to have him move his feet. And he'll do this in a lot of ways, right? If it's for food, or if it's for just even just position, like there's kind of a shadier spot or something like that. The first thing he does is he first asks the other horse to move his feet. How does he ask him? I'll tell you how he asks him. He looks at him. That's it, friends. He just looks at him. Now, if the other horse moves, great, fantastic. If he doesn't move, that's where he increases the pressure. Now, how does he increase the pressure, you say? Well, then he tells them. Notice on the English version, or the human language of this, ask is softer than tell, right? So we start low with pressure, then we increase the pressure. And how a horse tells the other horse to move his feet is he pins his ears back like this, and pins his ears back at the other horse. Basically, he's telling him, you didn't move when I asked you to, and now I'm telling you, you better move, or else. And what is the or else, you say? The or else is he's going to haul off and bite him, okay? He is going to chomp at him. He's going to bite him right in the shoulder or whatever, right? Okay, shoulder, butt, wherever. He's going to bite him, okay? Now, that level is called the insist. So I'm going to do that with him. He's kind of stepped into my space, so I'm going to just ask him to move back. He kind of got with it a little bit. Now his attention got off to the other side. Now I'm going to tell him like this, saying, hey, pressure's coming on. And then if I need to insist, I'm going to touch him and get him off of me. Or in other words, bite him, okay? I'm not saying to go out there and actually take your teeth out and really bite a horse, right? But how you bite a horse is you're going to take like a porcupine finger out like this. I'm going to ask him to move his shoulders. Please move. Now I'm going to tell him to move his shoulders. Now I'm going to bite him with my fingers. And then all of a sudden, look at this. This horse is moving his shoulders over, okay? So the levels of pressure, ask, tell, insist. I've heard it said that the other way to say it is ask, tell, kill. We're not killing horses out here. You can see that. But I like the insist better because you're insisting that he does something. Now this is really important because when you get out, and you're on some trail and there ends up being a cliff or something, right? That horse can't step off into that cliff, right? So you must insist that he stops before you get to that cliff, or you must insist that he stops before he gets you in a bunch of scrub oak or whatever and get you all scraped up. So that's how you communicate with a horse, friends. Levels of pressure. Start low first, then increase the pressure. But a good way to do that is through ask, tell, insist. Okay, so we were noticing earlier when we were brushing this horse down, I like to keep my horses all together because it keeps that pecking order going really well. And then the horses understand that ask, tell, insist really well. I'd like to ask you to back up, please. But what we noticed when we were brushing him, did you guys notice this too? He's got a little bite mark right here up on his shoulder here. Somewhere in the nighttime, one of the horses told him, or insisted that he move his feet and get out of his way, right? Or in other words, they killed him, right? So yeah, ask, tell, kill. That's how you kill, right? So we're just joking, you guys. I'm sure we're going to get comments. This guy's killing horses in the thing, but that ain't what we're doing. But that's what horses do out in the deal, right? Is they understand that pecking order. They understand the hierarchy of things. Okay, now we're going to talk about how to talk to a horse up in the saddle. So one of the things that we like to talk about here is have your plan, right? Have always in your mind what your ask is, what your tell is, and what your insist is. If you don't have a plan, your horse will know that, okay? They are really smart, and if you're up there kind of clueless, they're going to know you're clueless, and just like a child, they're going to get away with murder, right? You give an inch, and a child will take a mile, right? Same with a horse, right? So the point is well, let's do an exercise here. We're going to do yield the hindquarters, okay? And my asking the horse is I'm going to slide the rein barely, and then I'm going to turn my torso towards his hip, and I'm going to move my foot back to position 3. I'm not going to touch anything. I'm not going to touch the spur, nothing. That's going to be the asking him to do something. If I need to tell him, Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it with a little bit more urgency, a little bit bumping, and I'm going to shake my spur at the horse for the tail, okay? And then if I need to insist, I'm going to touch my spur back to the hind quarter and say, move that hind quarter. Okay, so let's do it. Let's get the reins ready. We're going to ask. Oh, look at that. He thought about it and said, oh, I better go. I had to bring his head in just a little bit, and he yielded that hindquarters, okay? How nice, right? He did it at the asking, right? Okay, so just like a child, when we're teaching lessons out here, we talk about it. Well, I like to do this. We've got youth out here that are doing lessons, but we have adults out here too. And I love it when we're teaching adults. It's kind of like when we're talking to kids at home, right? You would never just go in and just scream at a kid to do some chore, right at first, if you haven't set up the expectation for the child, right? You're going to first ask them to do it. So let's say you've got your teenage boy sitting in their room playing video games, and you want them to go out and mow the lawn, right? If they don't know what the expectation is, you're going to go ask them. You're going to say, hey, would you please go out and mow the lawn? Now, let's say at the end of the afternoon, you go in the room and the kid is still playing video games out there. You're going to be kind of upset, right? Now you're going to tell the child, go mow the lawn, right? So now it's increased from ask to tell. You're building consistency. I guess you guys can see where I'm going with this. You're building a pattern. What happens then is that the horse now knows what to expect. Your child now knows what to expect. Now let's say it gets towards the end of the evening now, and your child still hasn't gone out and mowed the lawn, right? You're going to go in there and insist, right? You're going to do like my grandpa did, and he grabbed me by my ear like this and pulled me out of bed and said, hey, go mow the lawn, right? You're going to insist, okay? So same thing with a horse. It builds consistency. They know what to rely on with this. They know what the pattern is, right? And it's really critical that we follow this so that your horse can be built up for success. Okay, now remember with any of this, if you're having issues with this, we'd love you to, and not even just issues, if you want more in-depth details, come visit our website at southjordanhorselessons.com. We've got full in-depth videos, full training videos that will demonstrate all of these things. Troubleshooting, if you've got a horse that's not doing it as easy as what we're doing here on the video, we'd love to help you with this. Thanks for supporting us here at this channel. If this has been a good video for us, please like and subscribe. Thanks for supporting me. I get to live my dream. I love to teach and I love riding horses, and so thanks for supporting me. We'd love you to join our newsletter also and get all the up-to-date things that we have on our website, new videos, and so come to our website and sign up for our newsletter. If you'd like to leave a comment about how you talk to your horse, or if anything I've missed of how a horse communicates with you or how you talk to your horse, leave a comment. We'd love to hear all of it. Okay, now remember when you're communicating with a horse, don't try to make your horse guess, okay? Don't be vague about stuff. Be really, really clear. Now, later on when you're preparing for the Olympics or whatever, right? The Olympic riders do less, right? Do it with little as signals as possible, right? But get clear first. Every one of those Olympic riders and every one of the top riders did things really crystally clear and made it so that the horse and the rider knew exactly what was expected, right? It's kind of like a high five, right? Like, how are you going to know how to give a high five to somebody unless you raise your hand and be like, hey, high five, right? Like this, right? Be really clear with your signals. Don't let your horse guess. Well, it's kind of like the funny joke, right, between the husband and the wife, right? And the husband was walking around wondering why his wife is doing this all the time. She keeps on doing this. And then afterwards, he just kind of walks by, but then she's madder than a hornet at him all the time. And sure enough, at the end of the day, he's like, why were you doing this all the time to me? She's like, well, that's my signal to you that you need to take out the trash. And he's like, how in the world would I have ever gotten that, right? So don't let your horses guess, friends. Be as crystal clear as you can. Give them as many signals as you can. Notice with my yield the hinds that we did earlier, it was not only just my foot back there and look back there, but it was the slide of the reins, put in tension back there, and ask for that hind quarter, and then have a plan with what the next signal is, right? That we were going to wiggle the spur, that we were going to do a little bit of driving pressure with the rein, and then we were going to touch the spur if we needed to. Now, for all the details of this and more in-depth details, go to southjordanhorselessons.com. We've got a bunch of videos that'll give you all the details.